Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of MedVice. My name is Jacob, and I am in my final year of medical school over here at the University of Missouri in Kansas City. So as someone in their last year of med school, there's obviously been a lot of obstacles and challenges to get to this point, and I wanted to share my experience with the younger med students and also the pre-meds who are looking into med school. So I'm starting this new series called my Med School Survival Guide, so M.S.S.G for short, and today is the first episode. We are starting out with how to reduce stress in your first year and really get off to a great start when you're starting med school. Okay, so let me preface this video by just saying that I know obviously everybody does things differently and certain things work much better for some people than others, but this is just kind of the general structure of, my advice and the things that I did that really helped me out to reduce stress and avoid stress, especially early on in my medical school life. So probably my biggest advice in terms of trying to avoid stress and not stressing your first year is to make sure you stay organized, especially if you're taking a lot of classes and things can, get jumbled with assignments and quizzes and tests. There's no worse feeling than getting distracted or getting confused with all of the things that are going on and missing an assignment deadline or having a quiz in the next 4 hours that you didn't know was happening and you didn't study enough for that class. So very important to keep an organized schedule of when tests are, when quizzes are, and major assignments. Kind of going along with staying organized, it's really great to have at least one other person, or if not even better, a group of people that are in the same program as you or taking the same classes as you to really help you stay organized and keep you accountable. It's much easier to remember all of those assignments if you're going to be doing them together with friends, so that you have somebody else kind of checking to make sure, oh, hey, we have this thing due tomorrow, let's go over it this afternoon and make sure both of ours looks good and we're ready to go and turn it in. Or same thing for a quiz tomorrow, let's go over everything tonight, make sure we're studying and do the best on that. So having another person, or again, even better, a group of people that you study with, that you're in the same classes or the same program with, keep you accountable, helps keep you on your toes and pushes you to do better so that you can, work with them and study as a group. In general, for stress relief, it's also good to just have people around you, have good friends, people that are going through the same experiences as you, because 9 times out of 10 they're going to be stressed too, and they're going to really enjoy having somebody to help keep them accountable and push them to do better when both of you guys are going through stressful periods, like your first couple months of med school where you're really adjusting to things. This next one is something that I cannot stress enough because it made my life so much easier when it came time for big assignments or tests, and that is to get ahead and stay ahead in terms of your material and your classes. And what I mean by this is not to read so far ahead. If you're not going over something in class for 2 weeks, you don't necessarily have to read that far ahead. What I mean is, if you're having a lecture and you go over a PowerPoint slide, a slide set that day, you should be looking at it and reviewing it that day. It's the freshest that it's ever going to be in your head right after class, and you really want to lock that in by reviewing it just that night. It doesn't have to be super in depth. You don't have to memorize every word on the slide set or in the book, but just going over that one more time the same day that you learn it can really lock in that information and help out a ton. I remember specifically in my second and third year of med school when we were having tougher classes, I would make sure that I was ahead in my studying, and if I had a PowerPoint slide, I would review it that day and the next day and make sure that I really had it down. And a couple times, the test was 2 or 3 days away, and I felt very, very confident in the information that I already knew, to the point where the night before the test, I would just relax, hang out with friends, while other people might have been cramming or increasingly stressed out about it. Another note on getting ahead and staying ahead: really use your weekends to your advantage. These are 2 days where you would hopefully not have too much going on. You don't have new class material, so you have that whole day. Get up early, get working, and make sure you use all of that time to your advantage, because that's a big portion of time where you can catch up on anything that you didn't have time for earlier that week, so that by the next week you're really starting off on the right foot and you're not stressing yourself out too much from being behind on work or studying. This next one is really for people who have a lot of different classes going on. My program included our bachelor's degree classes with some of our med school classes, so there was a lot going on at once. But even later on in med school, when you only have 3 or 4 classes that are challenging, really prioritize the time that you spend in those classes based on the difficulty. Within the first few weeks or the first month after you have that first exam, you should be able to tell which of these classes is going to be more challenging for me personally. Which one am I going to have to dedicate more time to in order to be equally as successful as that other class? The perfect example for me was I had one semester where I had pathology and then neurology in one semester, and I knew right away path was going to be something that was going to take a lot more time than neurology. So I still did my due diligence, I studied hard, but I just allocated more of my time during the week and on weekends to pathology because it was harder concepts and things that I was going to really need to know later on when it came time to study for boards and those kinds of things. All right, so now specifically for the younger students, those that are just starting out in your first year, first semester, you really want to make sure that you're not putting too much on your plate too soon. So, we know it's exciting. You want to get into a bunch of clubs and activities to really make yourself look good for later on. But right now, the first thing you need to do is make sure you're set up with your routine, that you're organized, and you're doing well in your classes. Whenever talking to younger students, I always say that the first semester, the first year, is by far the most important because this is when you really solidify those habits that are going to carry you through the rest of school. And if your school has a minimum GPA requirement, and like mine does, in order to promote to the next year, you really want to start off high in the very beginning so that later on, when you have tougher classes, maybe you can afford a B- or maybe you can afford a C, which is a position you might not be in if you don't do as well that first semester or that first year and your GPA isn't as high as it could have been. All right, so this last one doesn't really have a whole lot to do with actual schoolwork, like planning or organizing or studying or anything like that, but is equally, if not more important, and that is just to be actively doing things that help reduce your stress level. So this could be something as simple as making sure you get your 8 hours of sleep every day. This could be making sure that you give yourself 30 minutes to walk or do yoga or some sort of exercise, something that keeps you active each day. It could be looking forward to the weekend and planning a nice dinner out with friends or a movie or something like that. Or as simple as FaceTiming your friends and family every day or every other day to check in and see how things are going. People think that when you join a competitive or tough program like medical school, that you have to put all of your hobbies and the things you enjoy doing on the sidelines, and that's just not true. There certainly might not be as much time for those things, but they're absolutely essential if you want to enjoy your time in school and put your best foot forward in terms of your stress level and your efforts in the classroom. And there you have it. Those were some things that I really wanted to emphasize my first year and my years going on in medical school, making sure that I enjoyed myself both in and out of the classroom and reduce stress as much as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope you took something away that's going to help you along your journey, whether it's med school, pre-med, or any other college degree. Everybody gets stressed, and it's something that we can all learn a little bit more about, including myself. This was just episode 1 of my med school survival guide, so there will certainly be more to come. I'm going to try to do an episode every single week, so make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe down below so you never miss one. This has been another episode of Med Vice, and as always, I'll see you next time.